Hi, everybody, and welcome back. We are here with the most talented, gorgeous, and lovely Laureen Nowlan-Card. And Laureen is a Crown prosecutor in BC. She works with the Ministry of the Attorney General's Office and has been practicing law since 1997. She obtained her law degree from Dalhousie University in Nova Scotia, and after earning her Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and Political Science at the Acadia University. Laureen has been prosecuting criminals for 23 years, and she has worked with thousands of victims. I mean, that's a lot of people. Like, it's mind-boggling. Thousands of victims of crime, including all forms of abuse. She is highly trained and experienced in the trauma-informed practice. And 6 years ago, Laureen expanded her career, as if she wasn't busy enough, into life coaching for women in areas of women empowerment and public speaking. Laureen is also the founder of Women Thriving After Trauma, an online community of resources. Laureen resides in Victoria with her husband and her 2 children, and they have been married for 27 years, and that in itself is sometimes a feat in today's world. So congratulations on that, Laureen.
Thank you. Yeah.
So our question underneath, where do I stand legally? Our question today is, what kind of evidence do I need?
Okay. So we mentioned in some previous segments that it depends on which path you're going down, whether it's a criminal prosecution, a civil legal suit, or a family law matter. So I want to deal with, because my expertise is in criminal, and a lot of the questions I get are around the criminal prosecution of things. I'm going to deal with that. But just to set aside the family law and the civil law, just to say that when you go and consult with your lawyer for those matters, they're going to talk to you about what kind of evidence you need. But I would also put a kind of pin in this for people, and that is to take notes of things that are happening. You might have a calendar, and you can just, maybe you want to keep this private or secret for yourself, but make notes of things that happen on your calendar, threats or somebody showing up at your house, or you know what I mean? Those kinds of things. Notes are always helpful when you have to go back and describe to somebody what happened. So coming back to criminal law, the kind of evidence that you need, this is going to sound really simple, but it's everything that you can, you would imagine. It is people's names who might have been around at the time that things happened, especially if you're talking about a historical, which is a long time ago, type of sexual abuse or other type of abuse. So the names of people who might have been around at the time, who might have seen something, even if it's just a small piece. In criminal law especially, there's they say it's like a puzzle and all the pieces fit together. So anything that might be helpful is you're going to want to tell the police about. Pictures can sometimes be helpful. If you are someone, for example, who's been threatened, or somebody's been stalking you or following you, maybe they sent you texts or voice messages, you want to save those things and tell the police about them. I once had a woman who actually recorded, pressed video or audio record on her phone while she was being chased around her house, so and so the things that this person was hollering at her was highly very strong evidence. So physical evidence too. Obviously, if you have had bruising or physical injuries, you want to try to document them with photos, or at least take a photo, if not tell somebody close to you and have them witness what your body looked like at that point. Medical records can be important. If you've gone to the hospital, you want to tell the police about that, and they will generally ask you these kinds of things, right?
Yeah, I know that when you just mentioned about marking things down, keeping a track, and what I used to do is I would have it in code, because if my husband at the time was anywhere around, or he looked in my diary, or my journal, or he always
Right.
did. I had things coded, encoded words or encoded symbols, so that he couldn't understand what he was looking at, and everything else was fairly generic. And when
Right.
we were going through the divorce, I wouldn't answer the phone when he was phoning me, and he would just scream and leave all kinds of, like, how he's going to kill me and what he was going to do and all of that sort of
Right.
stuff. And I mean, I would just save all of
Yeah.
those, and I would take them in, and I would say, okay, here's what he has been saying, and the lawyer would see that. But
Yeah.
yeah, there are ways that you can gather evidence without them knowing that you're gathering evidence. And like I
Yeah.
said, the best one was I just made up codes in my journal,
Yeah.
what was happening, like, and if, like B for beat, and 4 times was, I just put B4.
Right.
And if he asked me, well, what's that? I say, well, it's vitamin B4. Like, I forgot to take my vitamin B4 today.
Right.
Like, so you can create a code that even if they question you, you can have that logical explanation for what your code means. And that's how I gathered a lot of the information against him. And when he hired somebody to kill me, I mean, it was all there. Like, all of the evidence was there, as to what he had been saying, and that this has been something that he'd been planning, and that sort of stuff. So yeah, document.
Yeah. And, um, at some point, I just want to, I'm feeling like it's necessary to say, don't wait to create a case, don't wait to get out because you don't think there's enough evidence, or, you need to make a decision about when you get out of an unsafe environment, whether or not you have the evidence, so just saying that. But if you are in a situation where you're unable to leave, or you need to maybe they're already out of the house, but you want to document that they keep coming by the house, or they leave threatening messages, or those kinds of things. Yeah, absolutely. And you're not creating evidence, you are just documenting what they are already doing to you.
Yeah, because your memory, you're not going to remember everything. I mean, I know that I go back and I look and I go, oh my good grief. Like, you look back and you realize how much it happened and how frequent things happen. And so, and in my case, I had left when I started doing more of the documentation, because now there were the phone calls, and there were the text messages, and there was all of this stuff. There was the stalking, and phoning the hotels, and I'm going to shoot you because I can see you. All of this stuff happened after the fact, which was quite shocking for me, because I mean, even though in the marriage he was not exhibiting all of those violent tendencies, certainly after we split up and I left, all those violent tendencies came roaring up front. They were always there, and they were always simmering, under the surface, and you always knew that things were there, and you didn't want to kind of make them mad, and you didn't want to, but document.
The most risk of a woman being harmed is after she's broken off the relationship. That is the riskiest time for a woman. So you really need to, rely on the people that you do trust around you. Transition houses, victim services, those things really are something you want to get in touch with, if you can, even before you leave, so that they're ready for you.
Because once you leave, then the control that they deem that they have over you is broken. That's what they think. And in your mind, you're thinking, he still has control over me no matter what I do. So, it's the reactions to it. So you have to keep yourself safe. You have to do whatever you can do to gather up evidence, and proceed with caution. That is for sure.
And And report it to the police, even if you think you don't have enough. You know, you may think that you don't have enough. I feel that a lot of women underestimate the degree of harm that they've been put the subject of. And, you know, report it even if you don't think it's enough, because at least, at the very least, the police can be aware of the risk that you're at, and they can, you know, hopefully help you out in some fashion. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you report it, and for me, when I reported it to the police where I lived, it was like, well, he hasn't hurt you, so there's nothing we can do. So go to the next town, go to the next city and report it. Just report it.
Yeah.
You know, and if you have it on record that this stuff has been reported,
Yeah.
you know, then you're way ahead of the game. But never ever take no for an answer. Ever, never take no for an answer. If one department's not going to help you, go to another department. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And a really good tip is to request, if they haven't automatically given you a file number, to request a police file number, because then they need to make a record of it, that you at least were there and reported something.
That's a good point. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a good point. Well, thank you, Laureen, for all of that information. And everybody, this is a public knowledge, or well, public knowledge, because now we're just making it public.
Education.
Education. It is not to replace any legal stuff that you're doing right now. This is knowledge. These are questions that we're asking that everybody needs to know the questions, the answers to. And please, you know, take this as it is, as common knowledge for you to know how to better protect yourself in the future and right now, if this is something that you're going through. If anybody has any questions of something that you want Laureen to answer for you, please put it in the comments and we will do a segment around your question that you want to know. And there are no silly questions. There are no questions that we will not answer for you underneath the Where Do I Stand Legally segments with Laureen. So once again, Laureen, thank you very much for your time today. And I look forward to the next segments that we are doing.
Thanks, Brenda.
Thanks. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.